What is up, college lacrosse fans? You are watching week 6 of the LaxFactor College Lacrosse Weekend Recap Show. We have a ton of games to get to today. We have Towson at Duke, Rutgers at Syracuse. We have Notre Dame at Virginia. The list goes on. Loyola beat up on Navy. So before we get to it, be sure to like and subscribe. That's the main way that you can help us out. Just hit that little thumbs up. It's not really that hard. And subscribe to our channel. That is also not difficult, but that is it. I digress. Let's get into it. And the first game that I wanted to talk about, number 5, Towson coming down and playing Duke. Duke sitting at number 2 and 8-1. They are just ridiculously good. Towson's not bad at 5-2. Duke pulls this one out 12-10, as most of you already know. What we take away from this, Duke is really, really, really good, and Towson's not too bad. They're not too bad either. It went back and forth much of the first 2.5 quarters of the game for the most part. Towson scored. Duke took a lead early, but then Towson scores 3 of the last 4 goals of the half, so that it's tied up 6-6 at the half. Towson goes on a run, continues their run, I should say, into the third quarter. So at one point they were sitting up 8-6. And before Duke goes on a 4-goal run to take the lead back 10-8. And once Robertson gave Duke a 9-8 lead, they never let it go again after that. Van Raphorst, of all people, he goes 1-1 on the day. He scored a goal in transition late, and he had an assist in transition earlier in the game. Duke manages to win this game despite losing 19 of 24 faceoffs to Alex Woodall. Woodall was incredible the entire game once again for Towson, so that's going to be key for Towson. I mean, they lose this game, yes, and now they're sitting at 5-2, but they lost to number 2 Duke at Duke, and they put up a good show here. Towson was led by Brendan Sunday, 4 goals, 1 assist. Timmy Monahan, 2 goals, 1 assist, and Tyler Canto played solid between the pipes for Towson. He's been a little bit hit and miss depending on the game, depending on the competition, but 16 saves against Duke. He's one of the main reasons that it was actually a close game, him and Woodall in the end. But Sunday continues to impress. 4 goals, 1 assist. Duke led by Brad Smith, 3 goals and a helper. He's starting to look like, I keep saying it every week, he's starting to look like himself, but it's just because he keeps getting better every week, and that's going to be that's one of the reasons Duke is now 8-1, sitting so pretty. And Joey Manown, 2 goals, 2 assists, so solid game all around out of both teams. Van Raphorst, holla for scoring a goal and an assist in a game as a defender. That was awesome. Every week, the Syracuse game is near and dear to my heart. I grew up about 45 minutes to an hour from the Carrier Dome. I grew up going to the Dome quite often to watch games, and now that we can watch them on TV, I watch pretty much every Syracuse game that is on TV, so that's why you get to hear me talk about Syracuse so often. They have number 16 Rutgers coming to the Dome. Rutgers at 4-3. Syracuse number 13 sitting at 3-2. And Syracuse pulls this out. Rutgers owned this game for 3.5 quarters for sure. Syracuse didn't lead for the first time until Griffin Cook scored late on a feed across the field from Nate Solomon with 6:48 left in the fourth quarter. And then from there, Syracuse just closed out strong. They scored the final 5 goals after that. Adam Charlambides scored with 8:41 left to play to give Rutgers a 14-13 lead. But in the end, Charlambides, he was crazy. He goes 6-2 on the day and has an 8-point game. His 8-point game ended up being neutralized by Trimboli and Nate Solomon, each going for 4 goals and 1 assist. Charlambides, he had 5 first-half goals, and that's kind of what lifted Rutgers above Syracuse in the first half. Nate Solomon and Trimboli's 3 goals and 2 goals respectively, that's what kept Syracuse in the hunt. So that they had a chance to win this game at the end. But Syracuse just went on a run. Once Rutgers took the lead 14-13, Syracuse rolls like they tend to do and wins at 18-14. So stats, Nate Solomon and Trimboli, as I said, both 4 goals and an assist each. Brad Voigt goes 3 goals and a helper. Rafis 1-3, and Lipka, Cook, and Curry all 2 goals and an assist. So that continues to look good offensively for Syracuse, that they're spreading it out and all sorts of guys are getting involved. At times, Curry looks like their best player. Today, Trimboli looked excellent, scoring a couple from outside, a couple on the run. So it was a great game. Charlene Beatties, though, 6 goals, 2 assists. Kieran Mullins, 1 goal, 6 assists for Rutgers. So they look solid. They're going to do fine, but Syracuse wins the day. I almost forgot. One of the reasons that it was close early and late was Max Edelman. Edelman goes for 19 saves for Rutgers. He stood on his head. Drake Porter in cage for Syracuse. He looked shaky early. He's been solid all year. Porter looked shaky early, but he ended up pulling it together, came up with a few big saves, especially down the stretch as Syracuse was trying to go on a run. But Edelman, 19 saves. I had to come back here and make sure that I drop props to Edelman because he had a hell of a game. Cornell had an Ivy League matchup against Yale. So we've got number 3 Cornell traveling to play number 4 Yale. Both teams with 4 wins. Cornell with 2 losses, Yale with just 1. And it was all Yale pretty much from the beginning. It wasn't as close as even the 16-11 final made it look. Mostly because T.D. Erlin won 24 of 30 faceoffs. The dude is just bonkers. He actually lost the opening faceoff. I remember that. And then he went on to win a bunch of faceoffs after. It all blurred together after a while. Freshman Matt Brandow for Yale. He looked excellent. 6 goals, 2 assists. I think they said he only had 5 goals coming into the game, and he goes 6-2, which is incredible. Matt Gaudet, the Mats, we're going to call them the Mats now. Gaudet and Brandow, they both put up hat-tricks in the first half, so they're what helped get Yale started quick early. Jack Starr had a couple of early saves, so he looked solid as well. Jeff Teat was quiet. All of the usual suspects for Cornell were quiet. Connor Fletcher didn't factor at all. Teat finishes the game 1-1, so he didn't really do much. Chris Fake on the day, he caused 2 turnovers, neither of them against Teat, but that, but defensively, Yale, we've been waiting for Yale's defense to put it all together in a single game and play good from start to finish in all aspects of the game. This was that game. Fake had two caused turnovers, 2 ground balls. He beat some people up. In the end for Cornell, Clark Patterson goes 4 goals, 2 assists. Piatelli goes 4 goals, 1 assist, and Teats, quiet day, 1-1. And Yale, Matt Brandow, 6 goals, 2 assists. Gaudet, 5 goals. And Brian, I was going to separate Brian Tevlin's name, but Tevlin and Jackson Morrill each go 2 goals and 2 assists for Yale in the win. Number 7, Notre Dame traveled down to Charlottesville to play number 12, Virginia, and we saw a lot of bipolar play out of both teams. It was a game of runs. UVA jumped out to an early 4-2 lead. Alex Rode came out hot and played tough for Virginia early, and I think that's where they get that lead from. Notre Dame answers that with an 8-1 run of their own to take a 10-5 lead at one point late in the game. And then UVA goes on to outscore Notre Dame over the final quarter and a half with an 8-1 run of their own. So we just saw run after run after run. Starts out UVA with a lead. Notre Dame gets a sizable 10-5 lead in the middle, and then UVA just closes it out as strong as you possibly can with that 8-goal run. 8-1 run. Dox Aitken and Ian Laviano, they each had 3 goals apiece over the course of that 8-goal run for UVA. UVA wins the 4th quarter in terms of score, despite losing 5 of 6 faceoffs. So we keep seeing that trend where teams are getting just roasted at the faceoff X and somehow still pulling it out. At least the strong teams are. Wheaton Jacoby scores 2 goals and 2 assists for Notre Dame. Virginia led by the usual suspects again. Laviano, 5 goals. Matt Moore, a goal and 3 assists. Michael Kraus, 1 and 2. And Dox Aitken, the 3 goals. But Virginia improves to 5-2. That was a huge win for them. Notre Dame drops to 3-2. And great game had by all. An excellent ACC matchup. And Virginia really needed this one, and they got it. Villanova got a beatdown at the hands of Maryland. It was the big 3 for Maryland that jumped the Terps out to an 8-2 lead. Over that stretch, Bubba Fairman, 2 goals and an assist. Jared Bernhardt, 2 goals and an assist. And Logan Wisnauskas, 2 goals. So the Big Cats, they come out strong for Maryland, give Maryland a big lead that they never relinquished. Danny Dolan was strong in cage again for Maryland. He puts up 13 saves. For Villanova, 1 bright spot. Connor Kirst, 2 goals and an assist, but that was pretty much about it. Maryland, Fairman goes 4-2 on the day. Bernhardt, 3-2 on the day. DeMeo, Wisnauskas, and Dubik all scored 2 goals each for the Terps. Nobody had it worse than Penn to start the season. Penn started the season out 0-3. Their 3 losses were to number 3 Maryland, number 5 Duke, and number 5 Penn State. Then they ended up getting wins over number 11 Villanova, number nothing St. Joseph's, and then they just beat Princeton. Cornell's next for Penn, so that is really going to be a really good test for them in the Ivy nonetheless. Princeton, they had a 7-6 lead in this game with 13:36 left in the third, a goal scored by Jake Stevens, and then Penn scored the next 5 goals of the game, and they just kept going after that. Reed Junkin, he made 14 of his 18 saves for Penn through the first 3 quarters. So here Princeton's winning this game 7-6 at some point in the third, and a big reason for that was Reed Junkin. He had 4 saves over the course of the fourth quarter. If I was reading the stats correctly, that's how they broke down. And the fact that he made those 14 saves early is the reason that it was even close for Penn to jump on this at the end and then go on that huge run to win it. So Princeton's usual suspects were all quiet. Sowers and Brown, just a goal and 2 helpers each, and those guys have been tearing it up. Penn, Adam Goldner goes for 5 goals. Sam Handley and Sean Lully go for 2 goals and 3 assists, and Reed Junkin and his 18 saves. So Penn starts out 0-3. They're now sitting at 3-3 with Cornell up next, and don't front on Penn because, Cornell now loses to Yale. They're not feeling great coming into this Penn game. Penn has already played the best teams in the country, a far tougher schedule than Cornell. So they're going into this game against Cornell feeling good. So good luck to Penn, but I love Cornell. I got to root for him being an upstate guy. Number 14, Georgetown. I'm going to keep talking about them until they lose again, and I'll probably even talk about them in the next game that they lose, but they're sitting at 7-1 after this 13-10 win over Drexel. They've played semi-weak competition, but it's not terrible. They're just all teams that are sitting a little bit under 500. Sacred Heart, they're above 500. They're solid. Towson, Georgetown played them respectably, but the important thing is they're winning. And over the next 4, we'll see how they really are. They have Marquette, Denver, Providence, and Loyola over the next 4. So we'll really see how good Georgetown is once they get done with this 4-game stretch. Stats, Daniel Beccaro, 5 goals and an assist. He's been solid all year. Jake Caraway, 4 goals and a helper. He's also been solid all year. McElroy, 14 saves in net for Georgetown. Drexel, Reed Bowering goes for 6 goals, and Matthews Varian, 2 goals and 3 assists. So Drexel, they had no reason to hang their heads. It was an excellent game, but Georgetown sitting at 7-1, so it'll be interesting to see how they finish off. Navy took on Loyola, and it did not go well for the midshipmen. Loyola gets the big win, 18-5. It was never close. Loyola scored the game's first 9 goals. Loyola led 11-2 at the half, and the big reason why was Pat Spencer. He had 3 goals and 3 helpers over the course of the first half of this game, so he just continues his tear. A little plug. We did a couple videos back. I'll put a link in the description profiling why Pat Spencer is my pick for the Tuarton, at least at this point in the season. So be sure to look in the description and watch that video if you're a Pat Spencer fan. And then back to it. Spencer finishes the game, 4 goals, 4 assists. Kevin Lindley continues his off-ball tear, 5 goals. John Duffy, 3 goals and a helper. And Jacob Stover played solid in cage today for Loyola with 14 saves, 73% save percentage. So that's solid. Navy, Ryan Wade and Michael Foster, I thought it was Forster, but it says Foster in my notes, a goal and an assist each. And it was a hell of a game for Loyola. They just proved that they're a really solid team. Navy sitting at 4-3. They're not slouches. Loyola was just a much better team on this day. Army improves to 6-2 on the season. They get a big 1-goal win over Holy Cross, 7-6 victory. Holy Cross led actually this game after 3 quarters. Mike Silva tied it for Army with 10:29 left in the fourth quarter. And then Nate Jones, he messed around. He scored himself a goal with 2:03 left to give Army the lead. And then he scored another goal with 42 seconds left to seal it. Army won despite losing 14 of 17 faceoffs to Dan O'Connell from Holy Cross. Holy Cross drops to 2-5, but Army sticking with their winning ways, sitting at 6-2 right now. So they're going to be a very tough team to have to play in the Patriot League. This week, we finally have some D3 action. We had RIT take on York on Friday night down at Stevenson in the Mustang Classic. Excellent game. Went back and forth most of the game, and in the end, my boys from RIT end up pulling it out. I believe the final score was 10-6. I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants because I didn't have it on me, but it was an excellent game, and these D3 dudes, they go hard, and they play legit lacrosse, especially at this level, the upper levels of Division III. These guys could hang with Division I teams, so hats off to RIT.